In this segment, we're going to talk about military issue Camelback. This is a 3-liter bladder. We use these overseas almost exclusively. Really great piece of kit. A lot of times we would just hook this into the back of our assault gear, onto the back of our body armor. This would ride, be part of our body armor. Change the backpack, change the bladder out. Bladder can independently be used in some of our packs that we've talked about in previous segments. But I'm just going to go over a couple things in this, both for the tactical world and for just like riding your bike, anything like that. So, like I said, it is a 3-liter bladder. It is annotated on the side of how much you have, or how much you have it in when it's full. If you do want to notice, there's 2 small marks. There's an open and a closed mark here. Right now it's an open mark. So you always want to set this when it's full. You want to set that arrow, there's an arrow right here, in and rotate it to the closed mark. You'll also notice this round slot here. This handle is used for filling it so you can hold all that water weight and get it completely full level before you slide the top on and lock it in. So that's what this piece here is for. And then there's a small tab up here which we're going to get into when we load it. So the hose can go either way on your vest or whatever you're carrying with. The first generations of Camelbacks had a bite. They almost always leaked after a while. You couldn't use them, so they redesigned it, and now it has a lock. It's got a protective cover that locks on. It'll keep this all clean. And then it's got a lock right here that unlocks it, and you simply put it in your mouth and suck it like a straw. Then lock it back up and put your protective cap on, and this will ride, right alongside either right or left. I always put mine on the left. I didn't want anything to interfere with the stock of my rifle. But that's what this is for. One other thing that comes with this is this piece right here, and a lot of people wonder what this is for. And it doesn't really fit in this here. It's not quite right for that. It doesn't fit, it doesn't, like, where does this go? Well, there is a purpose for this. In a tactical world, this would come out. This would come into this piece here. And then this particular snap right here is specifically designed for our favorite gas mask. Drinking tube in the gas mask. If you're in a CBN, CBR, any kind of that kind of world with your gas mask, this will lock your Camelback, lock right into your drinking tube, and then you can get your drinking tube inside your gas mask and get water without contamination. So that's what that little piece is for. 90% of the world probably would never use it, but just food for thought of what that's in there for. So arguably you could use this if you needed to replace this main valve here, but it would be it's almost not even worth your time to do that. But that's what that piece is for. Now we'll take a look at the pack. The pack's pretty nifty. It's got a couple little things that you could add a little more LBE onto it if you wanted to. Probably wouldn't, that would just be uncomfortable. But inside the pouch you have 2 retainer pouches. This is a good place if you're just out for just a day hike. It's perfect size for a small IFAK. Individual first aid kit in there. You got a lanyarded system in here with a hook for a set of keys. Make sure you don't lose those when you're out rolling around. And then you got a small zipper pouch up here that I would use for, some small snacks, anything like that while you're out rolling around. And then as you open up the main compartment where the Camelback actually rides, it's got a retainer strap, and then the main pouch. We'll talk about how to use this retainer strap when we load this. And then of course in the front you got your standard harness with Fastex. Pretty much one size fits most. And then a chest strap here. You have a little bit of play. You can undo these and ride them up higher depending on what your body type is. So these kind of ladder locks will snap out. You can move them up to this side or move them up and down on each ladder that there are. And then you got your standard chest strap. Okay, now that we have our bladder full, we've got our full 3 liters in here. We've got it all locked down so we don't have any leakage. We've checked everything, make sure our hose is clear, everything's good, our drink tube is locked. One of the things that we learned overseas is you can never get these completely full without having a little bit of air in them. And when you have a little bit of air in them, they'll slosh and you can hear it at night. So hot tip, just so you don't have to worry about that, is just to turn it upside down, open your drink tube, and suck the rest of the air out of the top of the compartment. That way when you turn it over, it sucks that rest of it down, so the only thing in there is water, there's no air, and then it won't slosh around and you'll just have clean water. Another thing to notice on this pack is there's actually 2 compartments. This holds it so the bladder can't burst if it gets pushed on or you're rolling around and lay on it. It provides some protection. So there is a seam here and a seam here where there's a cross membrane that goes in there. So, all right, so now it's time to put the CamelBak into the bladder into our pouch. So we'll go ahead. You notice this is all the way open here, that you'll be able to slide this in. A lot of times this can get a little tricky just because of the amount of room you've got. So you want to make sure that your zippers are all the way open and you can get the bladder into the pouch. So this will just roll in. Takes a little bit of manipulation to get it in there, but it'll go. You get the bladder all the way in. All right, now our bladder's in and we got it inside the compartment. You'll figure out which side of the drink hose you want. After you do that, then that will come up and out. You do have some where you can trace this. If I was going to go over my right shoulder, then this would come through this little pouch here. There's a little opening. You run your drink tube out, make sure you're getting all of it, and now you got your drink tube on the front of your pack so you can walk around. Here's a hot tip though. They did put this little hook right here on the top of the pouch. What that's for is you want to hook this before you tighten it in through here and then cinch it down. And what that does is that will hold the bladder as you drink it down. It'll hold the top of the bladder so it can't collapse on itself inside or put all the water. It keeps the weight distributed on the whole, and then that way it all stays centered inside the pouch. After that, you're just going to zip it on down. Make sure all your pouches are closed, everything's loaded up, and then this will snap over, and now you're ready to go wherever you want. Another hot tip, a lot of times we would put some kind of keeper right here. You could use these on your chest tube. I'm not a big fan of these. It does have an elastic piece on it where this will feed through, so it keeps it on the front, but the problem I have with that is it keeps it more toward the center of my chest, which I don't like. I kind of like to have it down on the other side, so I would just manufacture a smaller opening or something along here where I can slide that drink tube through. So, but that's the 3-liter CamelBak, and again, like I said, this bladder can go in your 3-day pack without the outside. You can just slide it in that opening where the lines are kept. Same with the rucksack. Rucksack, I wouldn't recommend that much. You know, with a rucksack, because of the internal frame, you can slide this pack down between the frame and the pack, but it gets a little tricky like that. You can set this on top in the top pouch and run your hose out of the rucksack. But again, it's personal preference. You'll just have to play with it. And as always, you need a lot of water when you're out moving around, especially in the heat, even in the mountains like we are up here at 10,000 feet. So that's the 3-liter CamelBak.